This is the EWN Podcast Network.
Ever wondered how you could turn your side hustle into a full-time gig and spend more time together?
Hi, I'm Vicki, a #1 best-selling author.
And I'm John, a retired Los Angeles police officer. Welcome to Dig the Well, where we help couples navigate the world of business.
We've been married for 35 years, and because we built a successful side business, John retired 9 years earlier than he originally planned from the Los Angeles Police Department after 25 years on the job. Now we spend more time together, and we want to help couples like you do the same.
Join us as we help you overcome common obstacles, and we show you how to make extra income without sacrificing family time.
Ready to dig deep and build your well? Let's get started. Hello. John and Vicki here, excited for this interview because it's with a really great friend, longtime friend of both of us. We've been in business together. Now we support each other in our separate businesses, and we're both authors. That's kind of cool. And yet we go way, way back. So before I introduce our guest, I want to tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Ivette Osborne. Actually, when we knew her, it was Ivette Pacheco. And then she married the man of her dreams, and we got to be at the wedding. So exciting. I can't believe it's been like 10 years now, I think. But Ivette is a woman whose life journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. As a single mom, entrepreneur, part-time actress, CEO of a nonprofit organization, wife, grandmother, and a passionate advocate for health and wellness. Yvette's story is one of resilience, ambition, and unwavering determination. That's Ivette Osborne. Yay, Ivette.
Hey, guys.
Hey, welcome. So glad
Thank
you're here.
you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad and so pumped to be here with you guys. I've been watching and just saying like, oh yeah, that would be so fun to get together and do this. So thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And I think we were chatting on social media about this podcast coming out, Dig the Well. But before we jump into like how we met each other and your background, you did tell me in a private message that the well meant something so special to you. Can you tell everybody what that was all about?
Yeah. So when I started, or I was starting one of my businesses, that name came up, the well. And it's biblical background for me. So, coming to the well and just seeking the water and it meant so much to me because it's like I wanted to be able to have a business where people could come to the well, right? And come and get things. And so I think that's for you guys too, right? Like
Yeah.
digging the well. It's like getting that fresh water, so to speak, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And when I started saying, "Hey, I dug the well before I needed the water" with one of our businesses, I didn't think about that at all. And I'm a spiritual person too, Christian, believe in Jesus Christ, all of the things. He's my Lord and Savior, and John's too. And that just is so cool. That the
Yeah.
whole how that
Yeah.
all works out. Yeah.
It's amazing. So yeah, so it was a good way to start. So kind of that was like the umbrella name for me to start off and do all these other things. So
Cool. Well, yeah, let's dive into your background. So, I know I talked about it in your bio that you're a single mom raising your son on your own. And when you and I first met, I think that's where you still were, right? You had
yeah.
your son, and
hmm
we were both in a candle business together, a direct sales candle company. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I was a single mom. I had a boyfriend at the time, but it's just not the same, you know.
Mm.
You're definitely doing things by yourself and, had the traditional 9 to 5 that I hated and that I was a slave to. But that wasn't going to cut it. It wasn't paying the bills. So a friend had approached me about this business. And of course, you know, the reason most people start other businesses is because they want a discount or something. And I'm guilty. That's what I wanted. I wanted this one item so badly. And, but I have to say that after everything, that was like 2002, maybe. And after everything, it was like, this is it. Like this, for me, the direct sales, um, arena was the answer for me to be able to give my son everything that I needed to give him, without at that time having another income from a father, you know?
Mm. Right.
So yeah, so I dove right in and, unfortunately jumped from business to business. But
But I'm sure you learned a lot. A lot of times when you
absolutely.
do, yeah, go from one to another, you realize, oh my gosh, it was really good there or not, or the other, or the reverse. Oh, it's so much better here. So you
Yeah, and
do learn.
also, just learning about yourself and knowing, hey, I wasn't in it 100%.
Right.
I know that we were part of another company that was amazing, and it just wasn't the right time for me. And, I had to move on at that point and just know, like, you know what, I'm not giving it my all. It's not that the company wasn't working, I wasn't giving it my all. And so knowing that and coming to that realization, was helpful, because a lot of people may not be able to get there and they blame it on the company when it's really not that.
That is so good. And
That's a great point.
yeah, we've talked about that, taking responsibility for yourself and your
Yeah.
own actions. And I love that you saw that, hey, this just wasn't the right timing for me. I wasn't ready for it, or whatever it
Hmm.
was. But then you moved on, and I know you're thrilled with what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, and in the midst of all that, between the candles and the other one that we were together on, you met Kyle. And tell us about
Mhm.
meeting Kyle as a single mom. How was that?
Oh gosh. Well, Elijah was already, my son was already, I think, 18 or 19 around then. Um, and I had given up. I was like, listen, let me just be single. I'm good at being single. And I met Kyle, and I think that, you know, the most important aspect of all of that was the prep time. Like all of the time, all of the drama, all of the, things that went wrong or that are allowed to go wrong in my life were setting me up for that moment.
Right.
And same with him. So, I mean, we say it all the time. Had we met each other, a year earlier, we probably would have hated each other, you know, because it was just we were in a different space. But
Yeah.
when we met that night and got together, it was done. It was instant. We knew. I mean, I was older, at this point, because I had had so many bad relationships throughout my life. So I knew what I wanted, and I had boundaries, and so did he. And so we knew right away, and we got married like a year later,
That's so awesome.
which is
And we,
crazy. Like
yeah. I remember
such a
when you were
short
going
time.
through that. Didn't you meet at church or a church function or through friends through church or something? Or no, no?
No,
Tell
Not
we
us.
even
met at the
close.
typical bar,
That's
so
funny.
kind of a different well.
But you're both believers. Then maybe what I'm remembering is that you're
Yeah,
both believers and you had
yeah,
that strong connection with
yeah, we
that.
were, and it was funny that, like I said, I had my boundaries set up, I knew what I wanted, what I didn't want, and I gave him 21 questions that night. He didn't run away, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." And he did the same. He let me know about, him being a Christian also, and maybe some hurts that he had in the church. But yeah, he started going to church with me because that was such a big part of my life, and not just Sundays. I told him, I go Wednesday. I've been in the choir for 14 years. It's a big part of my life, and that could scare away a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
no, so we had that in common, and he's been with me ever since.
I love it. I love it. And it's funny, we haven't talked about it, but you were a Christian before I was. You accepted Jesus into your heart in high school, right?
Right.
And I was after. Oh, this is kind of something to talk about is it was a direct sales company, actually a multi-level marketing company that brought me to the Lord. Isn't that
Mm.
crazy? And I don't talk about it. And I think it should be, because MLMs, direct sales, get bashed like crazy.
Right.
And what an amazing, and it has changed my life when I really think about it. It was an altar call. For those of you guys that maybe don't know what that means, it's when, just genuinely and sweetly at a service, the pastor will say, and if you feel a tug at your heart, if you're missing something in your life and you would love Jesus to come into your heart, please step forward. That's called an altar call, and you walk forward. And for whatever reason, I knew about that, but I always thought, oh, accepted Jesus into my heart. Am I going to get like a shock, like a lightning bolt? I don't know. I thought that. But anyway, at this direct sales meeting, they had a church service on a Sunday. And we went to it, just thinking it was a regular church service, not much anything else of it. But I felt so called to move forward and accept Jesus. And so, because John had already, for years prior to that.
Right.
So anyway, I know we're kind of getting off total tangent there, but there are such good things that come out of direct sales companies.
Absolutely. I'm seeing that more and more. And actually, a company that I just partnered with, they, I mean, their values are so much so in that alignment that, they tell us, like, here's our meeting times, and here's this, and here's that, and we're trying to launch this and that. But everything's recorded because they want us to spend time with family first. And
Yes.
it's so powerful because I can't I can't even think of one place that I worked where they said it was family first.
Right.
It was
Right.
my dream first, my work first. Like, I don't care if you have a child or not. Get a babysitter, figure it out. And it's like, that's why sometimes I'm dumbfounded with, you know, all the stuff that direct sales gets, and, the negativity, because it's like, oh my gosh, it's so freeing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you're learning so much more. I mean, we could get into all the other things, but it's like, I've never read so much in my life. I used to hate reading. It put me right to bed, you know,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
and
You'd be out. Right.
yeah, now I read at least, or listen to, thank goodness for Audible,
Yeah.
listen to at least 10 to 15 books a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and I
great.
think a lot of employers, especially big corporations, they say they're family first, but
Yeah.
their actions prove otherwise. Even with the Los Angeles Police Department, I do think there's a number of supervisors and command staff that really do care about family, and they really do want to put family first. Unfortunately, the city's policies don't allow it to work out that way, and it's
Mhm.
kind of a shame, right?
Yeah.
Because family should come first, because everything we do is for our families, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've never thought about looking at a direct sales company, you thought it was kind of cuckoo. If I were you, I would look. I would look
Yeah.
at one that maybe your friend is recommending to you, because there's so much goodness that our marriage got stronger. I'm like you, Yvette. I read so many books a year. I listen to at least 10 to 15 minutes to sometimes an hour a day of some type of personal development podcast on, bettering myself. And it started in that direct sales company. Yeah.
Exactly. That's where it
Hmm.
started for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Cool. Very cool. All right. Okay. Something about your bio that I didn't know that I think the listeners would find fun to hear about is part-time actress. Are you still doing that? Did you do that all along? Tell us.
No, I started that really, really late in life. It was something I always wanted to do. As a kid, I was always excited, wanted to be, on TV or whatever. And then, of course, life took over.
Yeah.
I had my son when I was 24, which is not too early. But, by that time, it was all about making money. I mean, from the time I was 15 on, it was like, how much money can I make? So I didn't give it the time. And then finally, when I was an empty nester and I didn't have to worry about my son as much, I was like, I'm going to look into this. And so I did. And I started working with a company in, well, Burbank, technically. But yeah, doing a bunch of TV shows and things like that. And it was super, super fun. And then I do commercials still from time to time with a company here in Orange County.
That's
So
fun. Tell
yeah,
us
it
about,
was much fun.
yeah. Tell us about the residual income side of it is because I had always heard I wanted to be an actress too, but my dad wouldn't let me. And my dad had a casting agent as his best friend. And I can't believe that he didn't even let me get introduced to him. It's really sad. But I've always been curious. They say, if you do a commercial, you get paid residual income on that. Is that something you work into your contract or is that just
Yeah.
automatic? Okay.
Yeah, no, definitely. If you're going through an agency like I did, then sign a waiver for that stuff. Like they can use
Yeah.
and abuse you as much as you want, as much as they want, as long as they don't have you on a speaking part. If you get a speaking part, I think it's a little bit different.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're just background and you're just, kind of doing the things, it's fine. But most of those places will have you sign a waiver, so that you don't have that. And if you had somebody like your dad's friend, that would have been probably where you're going to start to see some of those residual checks and stuff like that, because they would probably work that into the contract.
Definitely. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't let me talk to him. And now that we were just sitting here talking, I look over at John. I'm like, wait a minute, John was an actor. I forgot about it. You had your SAG card and everything. This is when he was still LAPD. And tell us about that real quick, because you're not getting any residual.
No, and the problem with that
He's
is
like, I've
it was a pain because it wasn't like we were an empty nester at the time. Like you
Right.
were saying, like you had time to do that, and that makes sense. At that time, the kids were little. They were how old were the kids back? It was a long time ago.
It was Frailty was one of the movies.
Yeah.
Frailty. Yeah. I don't know what
So
year that was.
anywho, it was like they would have all these calls you'd have to be at, right? And it's usually early in the morning, and I'd always get last minute notice. Hey, you got to be here tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. And it was like, I can't do that. I've
yeah,
got, and again, with my job, I couldn't just say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to come in today. I've got some other things to do. It doesn't work that
Yeah.
way. So I said, no, I've got to work. And then I've got family stuff. I remember one time we were at, our son was playing football, and it was Orange County Junior All American at OCJAF.
Yeah.
And I was one of the assistant coaches, and my phone's blowing up. And I'm thinking, I'm busy on the field, right? So I finally look, and it's them calling me saying that they wanted me on the set for something. It was for Robbery Homicide Division, that show back in the day, RHD.
Because he did a lot of police stuff, obviously. Yeah. They want a real police.
Like, I can't, there's no way I'm going to make it out to Los Angeles to do this. And besides that,
No.
even if I could go out there, I wouldn't, because I'm here with my son, my family, and this is way more important.
Yeah. That must have been
Yeah.
2000. You asked what year? 2001, 2, 3, around there.
Yeah.
Yeah. How funny.
Mhm.
I'm sitting
Yeah.
with two actors.
It was funny because here's kind of a funny story. Our daughter, Misa, one time she was upstairs watching TV, and she was watching Entertainment Tonight happened to be on, right? And they were covering the movie Frailty, and they did like a special behind the scenes thing, and they were following me around with the camera behind the scenes, getting ready, getting the makeup and all that. And she goes, "Dad, you're on TV. You're on TV." I'm like, "I'm on TV. What would I be on? What did I do wrong? Right? Why am I on
Right.
TV?" But it was because of that.
That's funny. That was with Paxton, wasn't it?
Yeah. So if you get the DVD of that movie at the end, they do a thing about the making of it. So I'm in that part of it. I
Oh,
think. 'Cause
nice.
our
So you got
DVD has me in it.
Yeah. You must have gotten credit,
Man, I guess. I don't
but
know.
not extra pay or anything. You got paid
no.
pretty decent, but not.
Yeah, and then I did some consulting for a couple of movies too.
Oh, nice.
That
Yeah.
would
See
be
that
cool.
that's different for sure. But yeah, I mean, it worked out, and now that I think of it, like when you said the year, it was 2019 because I started
Oh.
it then, and then 2020 it just stopped because of the pandemic.
Right.
Um, so yeah, and then I went back a couple times and did a couple shows, but the money was good, and like you said, I had the time. I wasn't working. Why wasn't I working? I'm like, there's hardly ever a time that I was working like a traditional job.
Right.
Um, but if I remember correctly, it was, yeah, it was because 2018, I had started another direct sales company. I was doing really well with them. I had a full time job that was insane. Um, I was working anywhere from 40 to 70 hours a week. I never saw my husband. My son was, thankfully with his girlfriend's family and stuff all the time. So, um, but it was bad. I worked so much, and then all that loyalty, all that, sweat and tears and all that, um, they let me go because they restructured.
Uh,
And that's
and
why I didn't have a job at that time. And I was like, okay, well, I'm doing the direct sales thing. I have enough time on my hands to go and do the acting. And that's when that happened.
right. But honestly, thank God you dug the well before you necessarily
Yeah.
needed the water, as I say, as
Right.
we say.
Yeah.
You had your other company, your business that you could spend more time with and bring up the income if you needed it, and didn't
Yeah.
want to
And I
find
did
another
really
job.
well the first 2 years. It was great. I didn't have to work at all. So I was able to
Yeah,
stay home and do whatever I wanted. It was
that's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, and,
Mhm.
and one of the things that we brought up before in another episode, and one of the things that we totally believe in is having multiple streams of income, right? Not
Yeah.
just relying on one source. And it seems like you have many, many streams of income. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, those things that you don't want to get from your parents. Well, this is one of those things you want to get from your parents. And, just like Misa and John with you guys, seeing you guys and having that example. It didn't hit me until later that I did have that example in my mom. She was an entrepreneur too. She did direct sales and yeah, I mean, back in the day with Shockley and all the different things.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
I think that's part of where it came from too. But once I started the direct sales companies, I just realized like I need to have more. And then you have those situations like I did in 2018 where they just restructure and they let you go, or the pandemic where everything closes down. So for me, it was like, this is the only way to survive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the only way to where if I'm by myself, I'll be able to survive. And now I'm married and, I think we got married. It's actually, we just celebrated this Saturday. We just celebrated 11 years.
Oh,
So,
I was
yeah.
close. I was
So,
close.
yeah.
Congrats.
Congrats. Yeah.
So, so I knew because I always had that single mentality that even though I was married and I have my husband's support and, financially as well, I knew that I needed to keep that going. So,
Yeah.
I was doing the acting, I was doing commercials at the same time, I was doing direct sales at the same time, and then I was doing like little side jobs too.
Wow.
So,
You
I
do
mean,
what
at
you,
one
yeah.
point there was like 5 or 6 things that I was doing, but I had the freedom and I got to do whatever I wanted, and that was the big thing for me because I never had that when I was younger.
Yeah. That's awesome. I didn't know about your mom was Shackley. How funny.
I
That is
know,
so
isn't
cool.
that crazy? Yeah.
So cool. And your dad, um, wasn't he somewhat, was he a truck driver? Remind me what
Mhm.
your dad, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
so
kind of setting your own hours to an extent, isn't it? Or not
well,
really?
that was later on for him. So I
Okay.
think he started that when I was in high school. But before that, they had their own business.
Mm,
He worked with her in the direct sales marketing
mm,
businesses as well. He had a traditional job for many years, but they let him go. And then he had already had his business going. So, thank goodness they had that
right.
going for years and were actually able to sell that business
Right.
to
Wow.
someone else and, reap the benefits of that. So when he became a truck driver, he was older and he was kind of over
Yeah.
it. He had
Yeah.
already had money. We were getting older, I'm the baby. So
Yeah.
it was like, 3 more years and then he was done,
Right.
so to speak. So yeah, so he was a truck driver until, gosh, I mean, he worked until he couldn't really anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and so
Y-
that was probably 12 years ago, I think is when he
Yeah.
retired.
That's right.
And
And then he
but
bought
man,
property.
he still wants to own businesses and stuff. I'm like, "God, no, retire, enjoy
It's
your life."
funny. It's funny when
Mhm.
it's in your
Yeah. I
blood.
think,
Like,
yeah.
I think it'll never leave us either. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But
it's
when
that
we had to,
mindset.
right. When we had to close Prestige Motoring Accessories, which is our brick and mortar in the city of Brea, we had to close it and bring it home, and we made it kind of a mobile business. We still felt like it kind of ended, but we swore to each other we would find that perfect business again someday. Like we were not going to be denied. So, yeah,
Mhm.
it gets in your blood for sure. All right. So tell us, yes, tell us about being a CEO of a nonprofit. Like what inspired you to do that? And then tell us all about the nonprofit.
Yeah. So, a couple years ago, I was doing like a fast with our church. I was reading a book. We were going through the steps together and just spending a lot of time in the Word. And that's when it came to me. And I heard nonprofit, and I didn't know anything about nonprofits whatsoever. I just didn't know about them, and I was like, why would I do a nonprofit? Like, why would I not want to make money? Because I
Right.
took it literally, right?
Right.
And I was like, no, I don't want to do this. And then all of a sudden it started coming. And the more that, I think it was 21 days that I was doing this fast and just spending time in the Bible and all that. And it just kept coming and kept coming. And the Lord was just like, listen, you had a story, you had to live through something as a single mom. You had to live through other things in life that you did. And, it's your turn to help. It's your turn to help these people,
Mm, yeah.
and I have a heart for the elderly,
Mm,
and for the youth too, that the kids that maybe don't have resources and they need resources, but maybe their parents don't have it, or they're, in foster care, whatever it is. It's like when I see a young person that wants to succeed in life, it's like, wow, what can I do for that person? So that's kind
mm,
of,
that's
where it
cool.
came from, was basically the Lord telling me, like downloading it, like, this is what you need to do. You need to take everything that you lived and make it better for someone else.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so we started our nonprofit. It's called From a Friend. Um,
Oh, I
and
love that
we do,
name.
Yeah.
isn't it
Love
great?
that. That's
My
so
friends used to
cool.
always call me friend. So instead of my name, it
Oh,
was like friend. And so I thought it was perfect. And yeah, so we do little things here and there when we can, if somebody's going through a hard time, definitely single parents, male or female, because I've had a lot of guy friends that have lost their wives
mm,
and have been left to
yeah.
be single dads.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we
So is it
do,
kind of anonymous? Do they know
yeah,
they're
some
getting?
of it is.
I
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Because
Yeah.
that's been on my we haven't talked about this. I did not know any of this, Yvette. That's been on my bucket list that when we're raking in the money, when we're really raking it in, I want to give to friends anonymously. Like if I find out they can't make their mortgage payment, I
Yeah.
want to just go over to their house, slip the money underneath the doormat, and not have them know it's coming from us ever.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that is so cool. So that's what it reminds me of in a sense, that it's a nonprofit that helps people, sometimes anonymous, sometimes not. That
Yeah.
is so cool.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
other day we got to meet a kid. I can't remember where his family is from, but he was stuck with a foster family. And one of my friends is a professional soccer player who now coaches for a team here in Orange. And so he's like, hey, what's that about your nonprofit? Do you do this? Do you do that? And we were able to sponsor him
Oh,
onto the team and get his uniforms for him and stuff like
oh,
that. So, it was just a little thing, but it was
mhm.
really cool because this time we actually did get to meet him, and he sent me this cute little note we have on the fridge.
Oh,
It's so
yeah.
rewarding, like when you can, like you said, when you
Yeah.
have funds to do that and stuff.
Right.
It's just even the little things. It's just
That is
awesome.
that is really cool. We are so
Yeah,
much alike. Gosh, I didn't even
I know.
know. It's so crazy. Love it. And then one of John's things too is there's going to come a time where we don't need his pension. We're making enough money on all our other side business, all our other businesses, multiple streams. Remember, tell what you want to do with your pension.
Yeah. So when we get to the point, we're not there yet, but when we get there, I want to take, you see the big wheel that they spin, like the Wheel of Fortune kind of a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you had one.
Right. For the candle.
Remember that from Party Line? So it's like a dry erase board, a circular dry erase board that you can spin, and it has a little pointer on it.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do in each of those little pies, put down a different nonprofit.
Right.
And then spin it every month, and see which one gets my pension check mailed to them.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so awesome.
I thought that was really cool too. So
someday it's going to happen.
It's going to happen when we're multi-million-dollar a year earners. Yeah. But it's just cool to give back, right? No matter what, we were not going to get into politics, but no matter what side of the aisle, though, good people love to give back. And it sounds like that's us 3 and 4, including Kyle.
In case anyone in the city of Los Angeles thinks you're going to get off the hook paying me my pension, because I don't need it, you don't have to get to pay it. You're still going to pay it. It's just going to go somewhere else.
Such a good cause. Yeah, exactly. That is super cool. So tell us about, your book. Really, I wanted to get into what the name of your book is so the listeners can go get it. Tell us why you wrote it. And I know hold it up if you got it there. Do you have it? Yay, there it is.
That's cool.
Don't be this girl. You could see all the things you don't want to be.
Yeah. Tell us more.
So, actually, it was funny because I was at church one time and this guest speaker came, and I was just so on fire after I heard him speaking, and he was talking about, having his kids start their own businesses with window washing and different things. But he just inspired me so much that I went home that night and started writing a book. This was probably 20 years ago. And it just sat there on yellow pages, a pad of paper, and it just sat there. Well, my friend Cindy, that I go to church with or went to church with, she started having like a workshop about writing books and stuff. So I got on that workshop, and we've done so many things together. We're both creatives. So we've done so many plays and different things together. So she asked me to partner with her on this book. And this is Cindy right here.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We've known each other probably 20 or so years. And so she asked me to partner with her on this book that came to her, and it's awesome. It was literally the perfect thing because it is part of what I'm going to be writing in the book that I had started, which obviously got put on the back burner because we did this. But we're talking about like our experiences in life. She is still single. I am now married, but everything that happened, until today, the things we went through, the relationships we went through, the girls that we were back then. And the fun part about the book is that we've incorporated a lot of romantic comedies into that. So each chapter is about a romantic comedy and that character. So like awesome. One of the movies is with Julia Roberts.
Pretty Woman?
Oh my gosh, it just escaped me. But
Pretty Woman? Not Pretty Woman?
No, it was My Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of my favorite movies. And I just loved it. I loved it so much. And then as we started to write this, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you don't want to be that girl. She was horrible. She was pining after her best friend when she found out he was going to get married. And, she didn't even really know what she wanted. She was just, being evil and vindictive and trying to break up this couple because she wanted him, even though she really never wanted him before. They were just best friends. So, it has to do a lot with that kind of stuff. But we put the romantic comedies in there just to kind of, bring some warmth to it a little bit. And then we share our experiences and give resources to the women as well. So
that's great. And it makes it relatable.
Yeah. There's, questions in the book for you guys, for them to ask themselves. We do have a podcast also where
Yeah,
we
tell
kind
us
of get,
about the podcast. What's the
yeah,
name?
we do it. It's called the Don't Be This Girl podcast on
Good.
YouTube. We are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. So, we just go on there and we just have a conversation with each other, and we talk about, these really important topics for single women and for married women, because, it's don't be this girl that doesn't just stop after you're married. You
Right.
don't want to be that girl either sometimes, and sometimes we see that happening, and, we need to learn how to know our lane and respect the man, and all that kind of stuff too. So basically a lot
Hmm.
of what we've learned.
Listening?
John's looking at me.
You listen to that part, the respect the man part?
So funny. It's true though. I have a marriage coach. Even after being married 35 years, I have a marriage coach just to fine tune me, not him, me.
Yeah.
And one of the things is respect. Respect
Mhm.
is huge for the man. And I remember asking you that. You're like, yeah, it kind of
Yeah.
is. Not being disrespectful. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's so hard sometimes, especially like, for me, I was single for so long, um and had so many bad relationships that, I was always the one that had to be in control, or felt that I had to be in control, because where they were guiding me was not the right place.
Right.
And so letting go of that has been, and still is, like you said, it's a work in progress. It doesn't matter how long you've been married, if it's been 1 year
Right.
or 35 years.
Right.
So I commend you for doing that, because it is hard, and we need to have stuff like this, and this is
Yeah.
why we did it, because we need to have, it's almost like a guide, relationship
Yeah.
tips, married or
Everybody
single.
needs it. Otherwise, you're just perpetuating the same things that your mom did. Then she didn't know any better because her grandmother did. That's why I sought out the coach that I have, because I realized I could help tweak our marriage and make it that much better. Because honestly, it really is us for the
Yeah.
most part. You
Yeah,
guys are
and I think
awesome.
that's why we
Like,
have those
yeah,
resources for the women in there,
yeah,
just to guide them, and to let them know that, you're not alone, first of all.
yeah.
There's always
Right,
there's always, a good person that you can connect with, to get, and most of it is biblical
right,
resources
exactly.
and stuff like that, because we believe that, you know, seeking God and seeking that wisdom is going to help with all of that. Like, you don't feel
Right,
like you need to control someone when you know that that person is there to guide you and to love you.
right,
So,
right. I
yeah,
agree
it's been
100%.
fun. It's been an amazing thing that we did last year. We launched it last year,
That's so
and
great. Does
yeah.
it drop on a certain day every week, or do you guys, is it like how
No,
often?
we've been a little off. My co-author just moved to Tennessee, so
Oh, yeah. That
yeah.
can throw a wrench in the works.
Throws a little wrench. So
Yeah.
we try to get them out there. We try to do at least once a month now. We're going to be
Awesome.
going live on Instagram a lot more come January. We're going to kind of revamp everything and go live a lot more, so that we can get some
That'll
guests
be
on
fun.
there. We're going to be doing a book tour also,
Ah,
hopefully in February. And it'll be a
awesome.
virtual book tour, so that will be very fun.
Yeah. So you'll do it by Zoom, like people could.
Uh-huh.
What? Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
You're giving me ideas for my book.
I know. It's
So
great.
yeah, yeah. So it's so cool. Like our paths keep, like we were together and then we've separated, but always remained friends. And then like our paths keep crossing, because I know when my book was coming out, your book was out already, I think, or was
Mhm.
about to something.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just,
It's
yeah.
so funny.
And then
I
we had
know.
that,
We have that great picture of both of us holding each other's books.
yeah.
Yes. So cool.
And then
So
we
cool.
had that impromptu meeting out in the middle of the desert.
Oh yeah.
That's
Do you
Remember that?
remember
right.
that?
So
Yes.
I don't remember if we were, I think one of us was driving to
Two.
Vegas from Southern California, and the others were driving home from
I think
Driving
we're
Vegas.
back.
doing
Yeah.
two.
And
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
ended up stopping like halfway across the desert between Southern California and Las Vegas. We stopped at this, that was a really odd
Eddie's
place.
World.
Eddie
That's
World.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we passed by it and I thought, I want to see what this Eddie World is all about, because it's huge, right?
Yeah.
It's a big place. And luckily they have a Tesla supercharger there. So we thought, hey, We'll charge the car. We'll go check out this Eddie World thing. We walk in, and then all of a sudden,
And
I
there
hear
you go.
Ivette yell out my name or names, and we're like, "What?" And we turn around like, "Oh my gosh!"
Like we
Yeah.
have met in the craziest place. Like God has a reason to keep bringing us back together.
true.
It's really cool.
So anyone
Yeah.
driving across the California desert between, what is it, on the 40? No, on the 15. Driving on the 15, I think, right?
Somewhere.
I can't remember. remember. Eddie World.
Yeah, it's called Eddie World. It's like a little, I don't know what you call it.
It's like
a little bit
Buc-ee's
of everything.
for people on the East
Yeah,
Coast.
kind of like a Buc-ee's. I don't
It's
remember.
like a Buc-ee's. Yeah,
I don't
that's
think they
just
have
got
that.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have every
Yeah.
like fruit and candy and
It's just an odd place.
beef jerky,
Nuts and
food
turkey and more stuffed
literally,
animals than you'll ever need in your whole
Yes.
life.
Yeah, and it's just out in the desert.
It is like an amusement park 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 7-Eleven on steroids.
That was funny. So plug for them. But that's another great business. They're booming. What a smart guy, whoever that was that started that. Yeah.
But think about all the headaches that guy probably has with, with staff and insurance and everything else. And then when, of course, COVID hit, I'm sure his business went completely south on him.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Him or her.
Hopefully he's got
it could be a woman-owned business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Hopefully it's back up and running and still running. I mean, it never went down because I think we went to Vegas during COVID. Yeah, and it was still there.
No, we flew.
Didn't we drive? We never drove during COVID. Oh, we flew when nobody else was flying.
Back up because we were up there. I want to say I don't know, sometime last year we went up there.
Yeah.
For something and it was open. We stopped in and.
That's so good. It's a great place. Yeah. All right. Well, tell us, we'll wrap it up by hearing more about your book. And I guess you have a special offer. Did you want to tell all the listeners if anyone wants to grab a copy?
Yeah, awesome. So Black Friday is coming up. So of course we are on Amazon. So you can find us on Amazon.com. You can grab the book. I think we're going to be offering the book for $16.99 and the Kindle version right now is only 99 cents. So that's going to be a great Black Friday sale. So if anybody wants to jump on there, that would be great. Yeah.
Awesome. And in the comments and in the show notes of this, we'll have Yvette's contact information, or if you'd like to follow her on Instagram, on any of the social media platforms and buy her book. We'll put the link to that as well. This has been so much fun, Ivette. We've had so much fun with you.
We have to add Kyle over here.
Yes, we'll add you.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, we were chatting before all of you jumped on with us that John was like, "Hey, I'm odd man out over here." And we were like, "We should have invited Kyle." Yeah. So next time we'll do a foursome. Wait, that's
definitely.
But the four of us will be on the podcast together.
Oh boy, this is not like that kind of a podcast.
Well, thanks
again. I
again.
I'll be down for that.
Thanks.
Look, I like Kyle. I don't know if I like him that much. I definitely don't like him that much.
Thank you. And I'm trying to rein you guys in.
I know. You started already. Don't be this girl.
Yeah, exactly. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you learned something from what Ivette was sharing. If you are a single mom, you know that the possibilities are out there for you to make the life of your dreams, because that's what Ivette has done for herself, and especially meeting Kyle, and now they're building their dreams together. So we're glad that you're here. Be sure to leave us a review, share this with a friend, and we'll see you back on the next one. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Dig the Well.
We hope you feel empowered and ready to take on new challenges.
Remember, if we can do it, so can you. Keep learning, keep believing, and going after your dreams.
And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who needs a little inspiration or maybe a nudge in the right direction.
Help us grow this community of go-getters. Together, we can achieve greatness and get back to family.
Thanks for listening, and let's keep digging the well.